Howdy my totally always tubular gamers, we're back with, you guessed it, another video. Thanks again for coming back to the channel, really appreciate it. Now today we're going to be talking Nintendo Switch. I've talked about the Switch plenty of times, but today it's going to be a little different. Today we're going to be talking about 10 out of 10 Nintendo Switch games. Now, there's been rumors for a while, but they've really ramped up that 2024 is the year of the Switch 2. Whatever the Nintendo Switch successor is, it's getting announced, possibly coming out this year. And so with that, I thought I would take a look over the Nintendo Switch's catalog and point out some 10 out of 10 games, some of my favorite games from the Switch, some must-own experiences. Now, what a 10 out of 10 means to me might be different from what other people think. A 10 out of 10 means to me that I can give you my absolute highest recommendation. I think that this is one of the best games you could play. It is a must-play experience. If you breathe air, I'm going to recommend the game to you, and I think you're going to enjoy it. A 10 out of 10 does not mean that it is a perfect game. A perfect video game does not exist. All of the games I'm talking about today, I could point out flaws, issues, cons, negatives, etc. Again, 10 out of 10 just means it gets my highest recommendation, and these are, in my opinion, the best games you could play on the Switch. I've got plenty of 10 out of 10 games on the Switch, but today I thought I'd narrow it down to just 10. And this list is in no particular order. I just wanted to talk about some of my absolute favorite games for the Switch. So let me know down below what your favorite games are for the Switch, why you agree or disagree, or if you think maybe I need to make another part just to add even more games. Let me know down below. Let me know what you want to see. I'm always lurking in the comments. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. We got the super thanks and the Patreon. Any support truly, and I mean truly, is greatly appreciated. I want to give a shout out to Bing Ratnapala. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate the support. Anyway, let's get right into it. Let's talk about our first game. You knew we had to start with a Mario game, and so we're starting with Mario Odyssey. Now, when Mario Odyssey came out in 2017, I got it day one and was immediately hooked. I didn't want to play anything else for days, if not weeks. Like, I love 3D Mario games. 64, Sunshine, Galaxy 1 and 2, even 3D World is great, but this game, honestly, in my opinion, is better than all of them. This is like maybe the greatest Mario game, period. Like, I absolutely loved Mario Odyssey. While the story and premise and setup might not be the most original, everything else about this game just screams originality, creativity, personality, and uniqueness. It's like they took the open-ended design of Mario 64, gave it some crack, maybe some cocaine, a steroid here or there, gave it a power nap, and we have just an absolute beast of a game. This game has some of the greatest levels you will find in any video game. I loved all of these levels. They're all fantastic. They're all very open-ended, and you can go about them really in any way you want. There's a ton of collectibles here with the moons. There's hundreds of moons, and you really get to pick and choose which moons you want to get. You can customize your playthrough in that sense, or you can be a madman like me and try to get all of the moons. Seriously, there are so many moons in this game. It seems like an endless amount of moons, but a lot of these are a ton of fun to get. Like, whether you're doing straightforward platforming, or you're taking control of enemies, or some part of the environment, or you're collecting something, or it's one of the very cool boss fights. Like, this game has a ton of variety, different ways to go about just about every objective, and again, it's so creative. Like, all of these levels are very different from each other. The game has an excellent pace throughout. It's always keeping you on your toes with something fresh, something new, a new gimmick, a new idea. And it just feels like this game's never going to run out of new ideas. It really doesn't. It has new stuff from the very first couple minutes all the way to the last couple minutes with a very epic ending. Like, I just really love this game, and it's one of those games that I've consistently gone back to for even just little gameplay sessions here and there for the last couple years, because Mario Odyssey, it is the real deal. Anybody who likes 3D Mario must play this game. I really don't think I could say that there's a better Mario game on the Switch than Mario Odyssey. It really is just one of the greatest games the Switch ever got. Our next game is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Yes, this originally was a Wii game and then a new Nintendo 3DS game, but I'm talking about the Switch version. This was the first time I ever played this game, and this is very clearly the definitive version of Xenoblade Chronicles. Like, you can look at the original game or the 3DS version and just immediately see how the Switch version looks significantly better, plays better, and it even has a little extra story mode thrown in there that might not be the best, but it's still there. But this 10 out of 10 is not for that. It's for the main game. Xenoblade Chronicles is one of the best RPGs on the console, and that really is saying something. The Switch has more RPGs than any console I've ever seen, and Xenoblade Chronicles really does sit at the top. It tells a fantastic story about Shulk and his friends as he can see into the future, and I'll just say the story, it really is epic. I love the setting, I love the characters, how everything progresses. Seriously, the setting is so cool where you're on these giant creatures that were fighting each other, and then just a bunch of grass and land and all of that grew over it, but it's still these giant creatures, and so the world design is incredibly interesting, the characters are interesting, they have some good arcs. I really enjoy the story and world of Xenoblade Chronicles, and it really kept me going through this long journey. Seriously, Xenoblade Chronicles is not messing around when it comes to the length. This is a very long game. If you do even a third of the side quests, it'll take you seriously 70-80 hours to complete this game, but man, it was so worth it. Seeing Shulk's entire arc and what happens to all of his friends, a bunch of the side content's really good, and the battles do get very satisfying, and you'll need some real strategy. The battle system is a bit different from most games. It's kind of real-time, kind of turn-based with timers. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. It's very different, and it feels most like, I'd say, an MMO, but I actually really enjoy the combat. There's plenty of satisfying moments, and I had a lot of fun with it. There's a bunch of strategy you can do, and the characters can feel quite different from each other. All in all, Xenoblade Chronicles is absolutely one of my favorite Switch games. The game looks great, it has a beautiful soundtrack, it is a great story, characters, solid battle system, and it'll give you well over 100 hours of content. You really can't go wrong with Xenoblade Chronicles, no matter which version you're playing, but if I had to pick one, it'd definitely be the Switch version. In terms of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3, I really haven't put that much time into them. I just haven't really felt like sitting down and playing a 100-hour RPG that isn't Baldur's Gate 3, but maybe one day, and maybe those games will also be 10 out of 10s, which are games that I can give my highest recommendation to. I can totally recommend Xenoblade Chronicles to even people who don't really like JRPGs. They might like this one. And here we have a game that doesn't really need an introduction. I've hyped this game up plenty of times before, and that is Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 is arguably the best of the entire Pikmin series. Like, I really love Pikmin 2. I really do. It's one of my most nostalgic games of all time, but I can see quality. Pikmin 4 really kind of is like the best of the Pikmin games. It has a ton of quality of life improvements, a solid story, a decent character creator, great levels, excellent level design, a bunch of variety. There's some challenge here. There's some new Pikmin, some new enemies, some new bosses, new. This game just feels like a huge step forward from Pikmin 2, as Pikmin 3 honestly kind of felt like Pikmin 3 regressed the series a little. Pikmin 4 shows up and just kind of stomps Pikmin 3 into the ground. The game is 3 or 4 times the length and has a bunch more content and really, again, moves the series forward. Pikmin 4 is nothing short of a phenomenal time. The game looks great. It's arguably the best looking game for the Switch. Seriously, this game looks amazing. It runs incredibly well. There's some strategy. It's engaging. It's fun. They keep things interesting. The pacing's great. 100%ing this game is great. I rarely 100% any game, especially with how many I finished, but I did it for this game. It took me well over 40 hours, and it was worth it. I loved every second of it. This game was an absolute blast. It's one of my favorite Switch games of them all. I have no problem recommending this game. If you've never played Pikmin, this is a great starting point also. They're all on Switch now, which is really cool that all 4 Pikmin games are in one place, but this is a great place to start. Just know that you very well might be starting with the best game in the series. The quality can just not be denied with this one. And so here's a game I actually have never talked about on the channel, and that is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, like just about everybody else, 2020 hit, COVID hit, we were all locked inside, and what did I play mostly? I played Animal Crossing New Horizons. I played this game every day for months on end, and a couple years later I can tell you that this game kind of carried me through COVID, but since then I've also returned to the game and can say, yeah, it really is one of the best Animal Crossing games of them all. I've heard some people say that there wasn't enough content post-launch, but this game did get a decent amount of content, more so I feel like than other Animal Crossing games, right? Regardless, Animal Crossing New Horizons is totally a game that I have no problem giving a 10 out of 10, my highest recommendation. Like, I know Animal Crossing isn't for everybody, and there are plenty of doubters, but trust me, this game is actually a lot of fun. It very much keeps that kind of life sim vibe alive from previous Animal Crossing games, only now you're on an island, there's crafting, there's a bit more to it, there's more mechanics. On top of all of just the usual Animal Crossing shenanigans you get into, like this game, it really does feel kind of like a best of Animal Crossing. They took a bunch of the great elements from the previous games, brand new setting that's never been seen before, you can go to other islands, there's new villagers, like I mentioned, there's new mechanics, there's more going on under the hood here. It's more than just your basic Animal Crossing game, and even if you've played plenty of the other Animal Crossing games but haven't tried this one for whatever reason, I think you're really going to enjoy this, especially if you've even slightly enjoyed any of the previous ones. Obviously, a game like this is better with friends, visiting each other's islands, showing everything off, trading, etc. It makes this game even better. So if you can find someone to play with you, then that's awesome. This is probably the game I've actually put the most time into on my Switch, with well over 150 hours, and I'm sure I'll put even more into it in the future. There's just always something to do in Animal Crossing. You can always catch up with the villagers, you can always craft something, you can make your island better, etc, etc. It kind of never ends. Animal Crossing really is one of those games that never ends, and if you haven't tried New Horizons at this point, which I think most Switch players have, but if you haven't, 10 out of 10 for sure. And then you absolutely know we have to talk about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the latest in the Smash Bros. Series. I love the Smash Bros. Series to death. It's maybe my favorite game series of all time, from the N64 game all the way to here, and without a doubt in my mind, this is the best of the Smash games. This game really feels like a culmination of the entire series. Like, they took all the best elements from the previous games, brought back every single character. There's a bunch of new characters now, especially with the DLC, brought back all the stages, really put it all together to make just one of the most epic games ever. Like, this game legit just has so much to it that it's not even funny. Every returning character from all of the games, a bunch of new characters thanks to the DLC, almost every stage returns, there's tons of items, there's a single player that's actually pretty beefy. This game really is unmatched when it comes to content, and then when it comes to the fighting itself, oh, it's so good. It is easily the best of the platform fighters. It feels great, it's satisfying, and then there's actually a ton of depth. There's a bunch of different tech you can do in this game, and there's a reason there's a serious competitive scene with this game. Sure, the online mode isn't great, in fact a lot of the time it sucks, but there's a reason that the competitive scene is so legit with this game, because the tech is there, the roster's there, it's deep enough that it absolutely does have a serious competitive scene. It is much more than just the casual party game, but you can totally have your casual party game fun. I've had plenty of both. If Animal Crossing New Horizons wasn't my most played game on the Switch, it would be this game. I have well over 100 hours into it, which I'm sure is baby numbers compared to a lot of other people. It's baby numbers, even my friends, but I play a shit ton of games, and I've played a ton of this game because of just how good it is. The quality is unmatched. There is no fighting game on the Switch, in my opinion, that comes anywhere near close to Smash Ultimate's. Really, there's almost no fighting game that exists that comes to Smash Ultimate's quality, in my opinion. I'm sure I just upset the hardcore fighting game community, but hey, Street Fighter 6 is really good, but that's not on the Switch. Smash Ultimate very well might be my favorite Switch game of all time. It's easily my favorite fighting game, and this game is the definition of must buy. And so you knew it wouldn't be a list like this without a Pokemon game showing up. Now, there's plenty of Pokemon games on the Switch, but in my opinion, the best one, hands down, is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, I've liked Pokemon a very, very long time, but even I'll admit that a lot of the games, especially nowadays, they ain't so great. This game, though, it's the absolute exception. Pokemon Legends Arceus is finally the Pokemon game to really move the series forward. It's like the series finally got to a certain level and was ready to evolve, and evolve it did. This gameplay is actually quite different from the other Pokemon games. Of course, it does feel very familiar, and in battle, it isn't crazy different from other Pokemon games, but the structure, the format, the story, the world itself, it is quite different from other Pokemon games, and it's for the better. It's absolutely for the better. This really is the jolt that Pokemon games have needed forever. Taking place in a completely different setting from the other Pokemon games. It is not in modern day. It takes place in feudal Japan and sees your character being teleported there from modern day and tasked with really creating the first Pokedex. It's a very interesting premise, and while the story I don't think is particularly amazing and the characters are kind of forgettable, but yeah, it's a solid enough premise, and the gameplay really is where this game shines. You're dropped into these relatively large open areas and told to just explore and get Pokemon, and collecting Pokemon in this game is quite different from the other ones. You don't really have to battle them anymore. You can still, weaken them and then throw the Pokeball, but here you could just throw the Pokeball in real time, catch them like that, sneak up on them and catch them, and that is so cool. It is so satisfying, and catching Pokemon in this game is the most fun I've ever had catching Pokemon. The battles themselves, very similar to other Pokemon games, pretty typical JRPG with the weaknesses and strengths, but it's still more than solid enough, and there's a few new wrinkles thrown in there to keep things interesting, and yeah, I just had a ton of fun with this game, way more than I ever expected. Seriously, way more than I expected. Presentation wise, I know it's not amazing, it won't wow you, but you know, it looks okay, the art style's alright, and the frame rate's actually solid enough. I'll take this over Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield any day. This is way better than that. Really, that gameplay loop is just really addicting, it's fun, it's engaging, and I didn't want to put the game down. I just wanted to keep catching more and more Pokemon, and I just haven't been this into a Pokemon game in a very, very long time. It feels fresh, it's new, it's got some new ideas, there's plenty of awesome Pokemon to catch. The gameplay loop really just is that good, and I have no problem recommending it, especially if you can only pick one Pokemon game on the Switch to get. This is totally the one to get. It is fantastic. And here's a game that I don't think gets talked about nearly enough, and that is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, Kirby games have been kind of up and down. I wouldn't really say there's any bad Kirby games, but some are clearly much better than others, and there has been quite a few Kirby games on the Switch, but this game in my opinion just kind of stomps them all out. Like, this is the best Kirby game in quite a long time, if not just the best Kirby game period. We waited a very, very long time for a 3D Kirby game, and we finally got it with this one, and it doesn't miss. Taking place in, as the title implies, the Forgotten Land, this just kind of hellscape. Kirby's looking for all the Waddle Dees to go save them, and comes across plenty of other foes along the way, and the gameplay, it feels like they took the 2D Kirby games and put it in a 3D setting, and this is actually a pretty great 2D to 3D transition. Kirby still has all the moves he's known for. He can suck up enemies and take their abilities. There's a bunch of new ones, a lot of returning ones as well, but this game introduces mouthful mode where he can suck up something really big like a car and become it, and this is really fun. There's a lot of creative abilities and situations that arise from mouthful mode, and I really enjoyed the mouthful mode. This is kind of the jolt in the arm. I think the Kirby series has needed something to just mix up the gameplay. That and it being in 3D really helps, as the level design is obviously very different from all the other Kirby games, and I think it's solid enough. This game has a good amount of content, especially if you want 100% it. The whole game is playable in co-op as well, so that's great fun. Seriously, the co-op is actually great. I've like only ever played this game in co-op, and I enjoyed my time with it. The presentation's solid, the music's great. If you have ever tried a Kirby game and enjoyed even a little of it, you're gonna really love this game. Like, it's probably my favorite Kirby game. I have no problem recommending the game to everybody. I mean, I know not everybody loves platformers, and the game isn't the most challenging, but I still would really, recommend it to anyone who can breathe air. I think you're going to find something to enjoy here. It's a really cute, enjoyable time that is kind of unforgettable, despite what the title says. And so here we have little known game, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You probably heard a few things about this game, but if not, it is the follow-up to Breath of the Wild, and really improves on Breath of the Wild in every single aspect. While there is a good amount of Zelda games on the Switch, this game just is at the top of the mountain and is really one of the best games you could play on the Switch. You have this massive, massive, massive open world to explore with so much to see, whether it's shrines, side quests, or one of the game's many secrets. It feels like this game's open world is never going to end, and you're always going to be finding stuff in it. It feels like you're always finding something new, and it feels like there's secrets all over the place. As if the Breath of the Wild map wasn't big enough, they've added the depths, they've added some sky stuff. Seriously, this map is just absolutely ginormous. It is gargantuan in size. There's not many other open world games with maps this big, and it doesn't feel super empty. At times Breath of the Wild's felt a little empty, but this, it really doesn't feel empty. At least I didn't think it felt empty. It felt alive and like something was going on at all times of the day, because the game does have a day-night cycle. And then on top of this, they've really improved the main quest, in my opinion. I didn't think the story was all that good in Breath of the Wild, but in Tears of the Kingdom, the story's actually really captivating. It's engaging. There's a bunch of awesome flashbacks, and there's some really great set pieces and moments that are just epic, like unironically epic. Really enjoyed the story, and I enjoyed Ganondorf in this game. I think he's a great antagonist. He's way better than Calamity Ganon, that's for sure. I enjoyed a lot about Tears of the Kingdom. There's a lot to enjoy with Tears of the Kingdom, and you'll be hooked on this game for weeks, if not months. There's just seemingly never a dull moment with it. It's incredibly creative, it's imaginative. The powers you get really allow you to go about these solutions however you want. In fact, a lot of the puzzles really let you get creative, and you'll find ways that you didn't even think you could possibly do. There's no one size fits all for most of these puzzles. Most of the problems you get in this game, problem solving is actually fun in this game. Like, problem solving something you do on a daily basis, and most of the time it's kind of a hassle, but here it's fun, it's engaging, it's challenging, and it really is just an incredibly enjoyable experience. I cannot recommend Tears of the Kingdom enough. There's a reason so many people love it to death. It's because it really is just that good, and if you have a Switch and haven't tried this, well, I really think you should consider it. Now, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but here we have Ring Fit Adventure. Yes, the workout RPG is here on the list, and before you click away, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Okay, you can click away. No, don't actually click away, because I'm going to tell you, Ring Fit Adventure is not messing around. This is easily the greatest workout game ever made, and I had way more fun than I ever imagined having with this game. I don't like working out. I don't like going to the gym. I'm made of glass. I'm gonna collapse. I'm gonna blow away in the wind like dust. That's how frail and weak I am, but even I really enjoyed Ring Fit Adventure. This is actually a really fun experience that makes working out way more fun than it has ever been in the past, because you actually have a really great game. Obviously, you do need to buy the big ring accessory to play this game, but it really is worth the higher price of entry, and this game actually really rewards you for sticking with it in the long run. What you have here is an actual RPG where you play as a young athlete who meets this like sentient ring, and they team up to take down this evil giant bodybuilding dragon. Like, this dragon is just absolutely jacked and massive. And yeah, the story's pretty basic. The characters are pretty one note, even if the dragon is jacked, but I mean, the workout game has a story. That already is more than what you'd expect. Wii Fit never had no damn story. And when it comes to the gameplay, this game just stomps all over Wii Fit. Instead of some mini games, we actually again have a fully fledged RPG where you have to move from location to location by running with the ring, and then you get into battles, and the battles are turn-based battles with actual battle mechanics. To do attacks and defend, you have to use the ring or do certain motions with the Joy-Con that's attached to your leg, and this actually really will give you a workout. You'll be doing a bunch of crazy motions you never expected to be doing. If you jack the difficulty up, like, the game will just give you something crazy like do 30 squats in like 60 seconds or something like that. It is not messing around on the harder difficulties, and it really will work out your entire body. I won't lie to you, the first time I played this game for more than an hour or two, I was sore the next day. In fact, I was sore for the next like week playing this game. Like, the game really wants you to play every day, and I highly suggest if you play the game to play it every day. The battle mechanics are rewarding, exploring the environments is cool, the game is replayable, it has a story at all, which is cool, it has a nice presentation, is great music. Like, this game has excellent music. They've added more music along the way and some extra modes. Like, this game, it actually has a ton of content. It's healthy, it's good for you. I really have no problem recommending it. It's so much better than Wii Fit ever was, and one of the biggest unexpected highlights of the entire Nintendo Switch library. Like, who would have thought this game is as good as it is? And for our last game today, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I thought we would start with a Mario game and end with a Mario game. Now, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the most sold Switch game of all time. There's a very good chance that if you have a Switch, you have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But if you don't, if somehow you don't, well, here I am to tell you that you absolutely should. If you've ever been a fan of Mario Kart or racing games, this is the game to get. This really is the best of the Mario Kart games, and it feels like a culmination of really every Mario Kart game coming together to just make the ultimate Mario Kart game. I've said that a few times, but yeah, a bunch of these games really are the culminations of their series. You know, they just got better and better with each installment, and this latest one really just is the latest and greatest, and Mario Kart 8 is a perfect example of that, with the best driving the series has ever seen, a good amount of vehicle customization, and then easily the best selection of tracks that the series has ever seen, especially thanks to the DLC. You have just an incredibly fun time, whether you're messing around in the single player with the many cups and different modes, or you're playing online. This game really just never gets old. No matter how much time I put into it, it just doesn't get old. I played a ton of this game on the Wii U. It was my most played Wii U game, and here I am to tell you it's like in my top 5 most played Switch games. Like, I love this game. It really is like the best kart racer, period. I don't really think kart racers get much better than this. The only one that I can think of that's like just as good is Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, but that game isn't exactly thriving online like this game is. I actually think the online really is great here. I've never really had any major issues with it, and I've always had a lot of fun. I don't think it would come as a big surprise if I said this is the best racing game on the Switch. I mean, it just kind of is, thanks to the sheer amount of content and fun I've had over the years with it. I cannot recommend Mario Kart 8 Deluxe enough to anybody that likes racing games, Mario Kart, or really just anybody with a Switch. It is a must-own, must-play title. And that's 10 games today that I thought I would talk about for the Switch. I'm sure there's plenty of others that I didn't mention, like Metroid Prime Remastered or Mario Wonder, but I've talked about those games recently. I just thought I'd talk about some of my favorites on the Switch today. If you want to see more, you let me know down below. If you made it to this part of the video, you can comment our secret code word, which is Diddy Kong, as in the character. He finally got into Mario Kart 8. It's about damn time. I don't know what took so long, but yeah, we finally got Diddy Kong, and yeah, you'll get a heart from me. And that's it for this video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. We got the Patreon and the super thanks. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. See y'all later. Bye-bye.